Hey everybody, G4 Video 5 here, and welcome back to some more Grand Theft Auto Vice City, the Definitive Edition. In this part, we will be completing a few miscellaneous activities that are not required for 100%, but we're gonna do them anyway. And we begin here with Keepie-Uppy Beach Ball, which in the Definitive Edition version of this game has an achievement associated with it called Keepie-Uppy Okie Dokie. Which sounds really perverted, honestly, so I'm never going to say the combination of those words like that ever again, hopefully. But either way, the point of this minigame is to keep this beach ball up in the air for as long as possible without it hitting the ground. And the achievement itself requires us to hit this beach ball up into the air 5 times in a row without it hitting the ground, which is way easier said than done, because the physics are a bit wonky at times, and the controls are a little tough to navigate with when you're trying to keep the ball within your line of sight. So things get a bit awkward when it comes to movement, and so something I see a lot of people do is they'll use this building that's right next to the empty swimming pool to bounce the ball off of, so that way the ball doesn't just kind of freely go wherever it chooses to. If it hits the walls, then it's going to bounce straight down off the wall, and so it should theoretically be easier to hit it back up before it hits the ground. But I didn't have too much success doing this, and what I actually had the most success with was this street light that's kind of in the middle of this area. And it's the same concept where you're bouncing the ball off of it and it just kind of plops downwards once it hits the street light. And so that strategy is how I ended up getting the achievement for this particular minigame, and we won't be getting any more achievements in this part, but we will still be doing a few more things, the next thing being this bus minigame. So scattered throughout Vice City, you have several bus stops around the place, and you'll occasionally see pedestrians lining up at these bus stops waiting for a bus to pick them up. And I thought by waiting next to a bus stop, eventually you'll have a bus spawn to pick you up. But that's not actually the case. Not that it would actually take you anywhere. You can't ride the bus, unfortunately, as that would be kind of a cool little method of getting around the place, but rather you can just steal it like any other vehicle. But you yourself can be the bus driver once you get your hands on a bus. There's no parked spawn location, so you actually need to drive around the place next to a bus stop to find a bus that's already plopped down right there. And so I ended up finding mine right down the street from the lawyer's office, and surprisingly that cop didn't actually give me a wanted level, so I don't know what the hell's up with that. But either way, with our hands now on a bus, we can plop ourselves next to a bus stop, and pedestrians will endlessly enter our bus as long as we remain in place next to one of these bus stops. And for every pedestrian that enters your bus that you're operating, you get $5. So theoretically you can leave your game running next to a bus stop while you're inside of a bus, and as you're away, maybe at school or at work, these pedestrians will enter your bus and you'll make a lot of cash money there to give to the finest prostitute in Vice City if you wanted to. But anyway, that wraps up the bus business. Moving on now to the Good Citizen bonus. On occasion, as you're going through Vice City, you'll see police officers chasing down gang members or wanted criminals on the streets, and you can participate in stopping those fiends by punching them with your fists or brass knuckles, or even using a baseball bat or a nightstick to beat them up. So for every successful hit that you land on these criminals, you get $50. And theoretically, with the same criminal, you can hit them multiple times to get multiple instances of $50 being given to you. So this is quite a nice little way of racking up some cash in the early game, but I wouldn't really recommend it in the later game because there's really no need for $50. You want the big money to be given to your ladies of the night. But either way, that's a little something you can do. And the final thing that we're going to do is Checkpoint Charlie once again, as we've already completed the first instance of Checkpoint Charlie when we completed the Boatyard asset. So you can replay this mission up to 5 more times successfully, and the mission will get progressively harder each time. Ooh! And so the way that works is that the second time that you go through Checkpoint Charlie, the time limit will be decreased, but your reward is increased. On top of this, there's also varied weather, so during your second go-through of this mission, the weather will be sunny. The third go-through, the weather will be cloudy. The fourth go-through, the weather will be foggy, which is the focus of the gameplay right now. The 5th time, you'll have storminess and rain, and then the 6th time will be sunny, so you end up going full circle. But the fogginess is what I want to focus on here, because this is the only time that we see foggy weather in the entire game. And to me, that's a bit of a shame, because I'd love to see foggy weather when we're doing other types of missions, and the atmosphere it kind of gives would maybe even amplify the significance of some missions. Like, imagine going into that junkyard and rescuing Lance with foggy weather. But overall, it's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. But anyway, that wraps up this part. In the next part, we will take on the first mission for the Printworks, which is called Spilling the Beans. So until then, I will see you next time.